In 1995, two graduate students met at Stanford University. They disagreed about almost everything at that first meeting. A year later, they were inseparable partners. 3 years after that, they had built the most powerful information tool in human history. Their names were Larry Page and Sergey Brin. And what they built was Google. Larry Page was born on March 26, 1973, in East Lansing, Michigan. His father, Carl, was a computer science professor at Michigan State University. Growing up, the house was full of computers and technology magazines. Page later said he was probably the first kid in his school to turn in a homework assignment printed from a word processor. He earned a computer engineering degree from the University of Michigan and enrolled in the Stanford PhD program in 1995. He was looking for a dissertation topic that would be interesting enough to hold his attention for years. He found one. Sergey Brin's story begins differently and further away. He was born on August 21, 1973, in Moscow, in the Soviet Union. His family was Jewish, and his father, Michael, a gifted mathematician, faced systematic barriers to advancement because of his religion. Jewish applicants to Moscow State University's mathematics program were subjected to deliberately impossible entrance exams designed to exclude them. Michael Brin navigated the system, but he could never advance to the positions his talent deserved. In 1977, after returning from a mathematics conference in Poland, Michael Brin made a decision. The family would leave. They applied for their exit visas in 1978. Michael was promptly fired. For 8 months, without income, they waited, afraid their application would be denied. In May 1979, the visas were granted. 6-year-old Sergey Brin arrived in the United States on October 25, 1979. His father became a professor at the University of Maryland. His mother became a researcher at NASA's Goddard Space Flight Center. Sergey entered Stanford's PhD program in computer science in 1993. 2 years later, he was assigned to show a visiting prospective student around campus. That student was Larry Page. The internet in 1995 was enormous, chaotic, and nearly impossible to search effectively. Existing search engines ranked results by how often a keyword appeared on a page. The result was a system that was easily manipulated and frequently useless. Type in almost anything, and you'd get thousands of irrelevant results. Page had an idea. In academic publishing, a paper's importance is measured partly by how many other papers cite it. What if web pages worked the same way? What if a link from one page to another was a vote, a measure of trust and relevance? And what if a link from an important, heavily linked page counted as more of a vote than one from an obscure page? He started mapping the link structure of the entire World Wide Web. He called the project Backrub. Brin joined to build the mathematics behind the ranking algorithm. They named the algorithm PageRank, a play on Page's name and the concept of ranking web pages. It returned dramatically more relevant results than anything else available. Word spread through Stanford, then beyond Stanford. By early 1997, their search engine was processing more queries than Stanford's servers could handle. They registered the domain google.com on September 15, 1997. The name was a play on Google, the mathematical term for the number 1 followed by 100 zeros. The scale of their ambition, written into the name. In August 1998, they gave a 10-minute demonstration to Andy Bechtolsheim, co-founder of Sun Microsystems. Bechtolsheim didn't need more time. He immediately wrote a check for $100,000, payable to Google Inc. The only problem was that Google Inc. didn't yet legally exist. For 2 weeks, the check sat in a desk drawer, while Page and Brin completed the incorporation paperwork. On September 4, 1998, Google was formally incorporated. They rented a garage in Menlo Park from their friend Susan Wojcicki for $1,700 a month. Wojcicki later became a senior Google executive and CEO of YouTube. By the end of 1998, Google had indexed about 60 million web pages and was handling 10,000 searches a day. The number was about to grow at a pace that no one, including the founders, could have predicted. Page and Brin had published a research paper in 1998 arguing that advertising-funded search engines were inherently untrustworthy. 2 years later, they launched AdWords. What they created was not the advertising they had criticized. AdWords showed small, text-only ads next to search results, but only ads relevant to what the user was already looking for. Advertisers paid only when someone actually clicked. The more relevant the ad, the more clicks it got, the less it cost to run. Relevance was rewarded. Irrelevance was penalized. For the first time in history, a business could reach someone at the precise moment that person was looking for what that business sold. A plumber could reach someone searching for a burst pipe. A bakery could reach someone searching for birthday cake in their neighborhood. The advertising was so useful that users barely noticed it as advertising at all. Google's revenue in 2003, $1.5 billion. Google's revenue in 2004, the year of the IPO, $3.1 billion. Google's revenue in 2025, $350 billion. The machine worked. On August 19, 2004, Google went public on the NASDAQ. IPO price, $85 per share. Market capitalization, $23 billion. Money raised, $1.67 billion. The offering created 7 billionaires and approximately 900 millionaires in a single day, mostly Google employees who had taken stock instead of higher salaries. Before the offering, Page and Brin published an unusual letter to potential investors. It began, "Google is not a conventional company. We do not intend to become one." They promised to prioritize long-term thinking over short-term results, to hire exceptionally talented people and give them freedom, and to pursue projects that might seem risky or ambitious to conventional investors. Wall Street was skeptical. After the IPO, Page, Brin, and CEO Eric Schmidt cut their base salaries to $1 per year. Their wealth was in stock. Their incentives were aligned with the company, not with quarterly bonuses. Over the following decade, Google expanded in every direction. Gmail launched on April Fool's Day 2004, offering 1 gigabyte of free email storage when competitors offered 4 megabytes. People thought it was a joke. It became the world's most used email service. Google Maps in 2005, navigating the world. YouTube acquired in 2006 for $1.65 billion in stock, now generating $38 billion in annual ad revenue. Android launched in 2008, running on over 70% of the world's smartphones. Google Chrome became the world's most used browser. Google Cloud became a $43 billion business. And in August 2015, Google was reorganized under a new parent company, Alphabet Inc. Each ambitious project, self-driving cars through Waymo, life sciences through Verily, drone delivery through Wing, artificial intelligence through DeepMind, would operate as a separate company with its own leadership and accountability. In December 2019, Page and Brin stepped down from all executive roles. Sundar Pichai, a Google employee since 2004, became CEO of both Google and Alphabet. Page and Brin remain controlling shareholders, and the company they built continues to grow. Harold Evans, in his book They Made America, had a word for innovators like Page and Brin, democratizers. People who took something previously available only to the privileged and made it available to everyone. Carnegie built libraries so working people could read. Ford built cars so ordinary families could travel. Page and Brin built a search engine so anyone, anywhere, could find the answer to almost any question, for free. There is something personal in Brin's version of this mission. He grew up in a country where the state controlled information, where his father's career was limited because his religion was noted in his internal passport, where access to education was rationed by ethnicity. Google was, in a sense, the opposite of everything the Soviet state had been. Open, free, available to everyone. 3 lessons from the story of Larry Page and Sergey Brin. First, the best business model serves the user first. Google's search was free. Its results were honest. Its ads were relevant. By genuinely serving users, Page and Brin earned the trust that made their advertising worth hundreds of billions. The business model followed the mission, not the other way around. Second, the academic insight can be the business. PageRank was a PhD dissertation idea. It was pure research, not a product plan. The insight was so good that the business built itself around it. The lesson: don't start with a market opportunity. Start with the most interesting problem you can find. Interesting problems, solved well, find their markets. Third, where you come from shapes what you build. Brin's family fled a regime that controlled information. He built a tool that opened it. Page grew up in a house where technology and knowledge were celebrated. He built a machine to share them. Our deepest experiences shape our most lasting creations. A dissertation became a search engine. A search engine became a company. A company became the gateway to all human knowledge. Free, instant, and available to anyone on Earth. Not bad for 2 PhD students who disagreed at their first meeting. Thank you for joining us for episode 12. Our next episode is Pierre Omidyar, the man who built eBay and proved that strangers across the world could trust each other enough to do business. Until then, stay curious,